like I said, all of these classes, they just take us a little beyond where we were. And they open up things that you can't, so you can't be so, it's absolutely this, it's, I don't know, no, it just keeps changing. There's too much to, I got to look at this. I don't know. You can't see it's absolutely, let's just look at it closer and see what it is. And as you get closer, you see it in more detail. You see more specific things. And that there's differences like this. They don't mean, oh my goodness, the system's wrong. It just means there's an idiosyncrasy, there's something else going on that's going to be relevant in another way. Or add an enhancement. It's like you have different members of a band playing, and they could be playing the same note at one point, but then they can come at different timings, or different. They can be different enhancements come from each instrument relating to each other. So if there was a southern hemisphere one, the star with the green one here, it's a southern hemisphere, not a southern hemisphere, it's a south of the ecliptic, south latitude. Its transit would move along this way, and it would hit the conjunction. So at the same degree, if the planets were moving along in the same degree of the zodiac, the northern one would touch that conjunction at this point. The southern one is going to touch the conjunction at this point. And there's a big gap in time between when these two conjunctions happen, even though they're in the same degree, even if they were going at the same time. That latitude stretches the length of the degree, or the length of the influence. Yeah, it's just showing the dots for the places where they connect. So on the northern, you have 1, 2, with the conjunction to the ecliptic, the conjunction to the star by the conjunction to the star. Yeah, the point when it's touching when it's conjunct the ecliptic, when it's conjunct the sun and the star and the ecliptic, at that point, that's a point on the equator, but it's not normally measured. So by the equator, it won't have reached the star yet, but by the ecliptic, it's already touched the sun and the star. So by measuring along the ecliptic, there'll be another point where it comes along where it touches the star. It's past the conjunction of the ecliptic, but it's still just conjuncting the star first, and that's going to go the ascendant, and it's going to conjunct the sun too. So there's 3 hits of the transit in the southern. It's going to hit the point, if we continue this down, that blue line down, there would be a point where this hits. Then there'd be a point where it hits the conjunctions are on a different, so there's 2 different perpendiculars. The degrees work perpendicular to the system, to the equator, or to the ecliptic. This is exaggerated drawing, but it lets you see the effect. If we take a degree on the ecliptic, here's the degree, and here's the amount of space it would hold. It'll go up 90 degrees, down 90 degrees. So you'd have stars, you have a certain amount of space inside this 1 degree. If we take the first, this is imagining, say it's the 1st degree of Aries, okay? Or the 1st degree of spring. But then if we measure it from the equator, where they talk, you would have this 1st degree going perpendicular one, going up to the North Pole and the South Pole. Now, when you look at the 2 degrees, it's that 1st degree, they got to be close to each other, only for a little bit, because they only overlap for this little section in the middle, this little triangle, or this little parallelogram. Not exactly even that, but the shape in the middle. There's this huge amount of the degrees that are totally different from what's in each degree is totally different from each other. They hold different amounts of space. So they are really unique, different systems, different structures. So here you can see it a bit better. Here's the path of the sun and the planets going through its 1 degree. But it'll still go through the 1 degree against the equator, but I think the next one shows us a bit better. No, this just shows you the 1 degree from the equator, from the ecliptic. There's 1 degree that's moving through this way. But if something were in this 1 degree and just outside of, like there's a place where it's in, part of this is they're in the 1 degree is the same, but there's parts that aren't. The planets can be in that 1 degree and not be in the 1 degree in the other system. So looking at this from the equator, there's the equator, Here's the first degree. There's the planets move anywhere from there, up or down. They can be anywhere in that 23, 27 degree difference on each side. So that's 46, 54, 46 degrees. They could be anywhere in that band. And here's the 1 degree cutting through that band. So when we put the two together, you can see the 1 degree covers through that. You see the parts that are included and the parts that aren't included in that degree. Again, it's an exaggerated drawing, but it does express the areas very clearly. And with this path of the ecliptic, you can see the sun can be anywhere in this band, but in that against on the equator, based on the equator, it can be the Tropic of Capricorn, the Tropic of Cancer, and a little bit more. So all of these are different phenomena that you'll see some astrologers write. We'll look about declinations and they'll put the out of bounds factors in, and they work just with that. There's people working with it's like doctors working. Some people are just a toe doctor or a foot doctor. Someone else deals with the throat. So different people know different things. It takes time to try and there's not many general practitioners who know a little bit about the toe and the throat. You know, so you can go to, they usually specialize in your drawing one way or another. Well, astrology can polarize like that too, but ideally you want to try and get them, you keep expanding, adding layers, adding levels of insight, different insights through it. So here on this one, we've colored in blue and red darker, and the center part, you can see the parts that overlap that are within the same degree. You see the blue and the red corners that don't fit into the same degree, and the huge areas that go beyond that. This is another drawing where you just see 1 degree, but it's taken away from the right at the beginning. So the degree is further along in the ecliptic. There's the degree. And the degree in the houses. So what's being shared is really different. Like here, a degree in the zodiac hardly touches the same degree area in the on that equator. Now, when you start adding stars into it, and they're going way up and down below, you get really great big. The stars in each system are in very different degrees. So if you take a star, it's in this degree of the ecliptic, and it's supposed to be in this house, it can be way off. So when you start adding these different things, these layers together, these insights start to come up. So here's the equator and the degree going up. But like I say, a star in 1 degree far north or far south on the ecliptic may not be even anywhere near the same degree as maybe a few degrees off from where the other degree. It won't be huge degrees, it'll be a few degrees. It can be a few degrees, several degrees off anyways. Yeah, so again, this is a drawing without the globe in it, but there's the ecliptic, the equator, the blue declination, the ecliptic, the latitude, and the differences of the degrees. We're usually just looking around the circles, right? We're not looking at the circle side. Now we're looking at the circle sideways from the edges, and then, like, we're seeing different things, different insights, useful. So here's a chart. Here's Carl Jung's chart. The chart has the constellations around it. Okay, some stars, has the houses. If we go on, okay, so we're going to take we're jumping a little bit ahead here. I'm going to be showing you a bit of progressed stuff that we're going towards. I'm not going to get deeply into it, but I just want to show you how some of this works. So we have the sun in progressions. Every day after you're born is like a year of your life. So the sun, you're born here, he's born as a Leo, like about 3 degrees Leo. So at 27, his sun goes into Virgo, progressed sun goes into Virgo. At 57, it goes into Libra, and at 87, it will go into Scorpio. So it goes along, but he's not going to get around to the other side. Progressed sun will not get around the other side of the chart. So this shows, here's the progressions of Carl Jung's sun for his lifetime. It's going to go through these signs of the zodiac. It's going to conjunct Uranus. It might get up to conjuncts to Jupiter, and goes through these star groupings and touches certain stars. Now, this is a chart form I used to use. I built it up and I put I put 110 main stars on it. And then I added constellations and galaxies and other things. This was done in the early 80s. The chart form was finished in 82, probably took about a year. During that year, anyways, I got it together and I used this through this chart as my chart form throughout the year for a number of years. Okay, probably up until into the 90s, I probably used it. But this would let you see if you're looking at the progressed sun. I think I have it in the next drawing. Yes. Okay. So I have the progressed in this progressed drawing. You can see the sun is going to go up as it goes along here and goes through those signs, 3 signs. Touches 2 planets, conjunction, makes other aspects, but it's going to go through about 80 different star points or galaxies, sense celestial happenings. But in the whole process of going through the celestial happenings, there's 2 major first magnitude stars. One's here, 2 other ones here, Spica and Arcturus. So we'll just go to the next drawing. They're highlighted. So these are points where 2 first magnitude stars, really bright stars, are there. So in his whole life, he has this progressed sun hits this counter, and at the end, towards the end, his progressed sun hits this encounter. Those are his 2 run-ins with the powerful stars of his progressed sun, of his evolving soul. And what would happen at those times? When did that happen? What happened in their life? And like, you usually allow a bit of time before, a bit of aspect, degree before, degree after, to allow when it's getting in there. But then you have to observe the life, what happened. And if he was working with his imagination, his inner thinking, some special light or some special extra guidance that's not in the normal run of things, those insights may come in. So this is kind of teasing. So this is another drawing that lays the stars, that lays things out. A lot of the stuff we've been studying in this level 8 out in the sheet. We'll be using these sheets in the progressed classes. It lays it sideways. Looking from left to right, you see Leo, the sign of the zodiac. You see the symbols for the pentens, Aries, Taurus. You see the 5-degree divisions for the pentens. You have the 6-degree divisions for the hexagrams. You have the lines of the hexagrams laid in, so they're in the degrees of the zodiac that they would be in. The stars are actually drawn in on the side, and there's a number of each star beside it as you go along with stars it touches. And like at the bottom of Leo, there's Regulus. This one is at the bottom of the chart in the middle. You see this bright 6-pointed star. That's the Regulus. That's a first magnitude star. So then the aspects it makes to your chart, the other planets are put in here too. And down on the right-hand side, you see the dates it happened to, and you can write in the experiences that happened in your life. Okay, so it goes through. And it's going to touch that. There doesn't touch anything going through Virgo. It touches stars, but then there's no first magnitude ones. But you can look at any point. You get a time, meets the Pueblo Indian chiefs and the tribes in Kenya. There's Carl Jung's The Square is Mars, in Youthful Folly, in Aquarius, in Virgo. So like you could follow these and then begin to see how it might apply in life. You could spend hours, a book just on one influence on how it affects someone's life. You can never express it well enough in words. Then it goes along and this is a bit of his bio through there. We'll go through this. Then there's these 2 first magnitude stars here. And his sun goes over that. So it was interesting that he wrote his book's Mysterious Conjunctions when this progressed sun was touching the 2 stars, the 2 first magnitude stars. So